Arne Slot is not good enough. He's another Erik ten Hag. We bet you have seen these posts on social media over the past 48 hours, right? After Xabi Alonso decided to stay at Bayer Leverkusen, and with reports saying talks of Ruben Amorim have stalled, Arne Slot, the Dutch manager, who's in charge of Feyenoord in the Eredivisie, is slowly becoming the favourite, with reports even suggesting that Liverpool have initiated talks with the Dutch club. Now, we all know the jump from the Eredivisie to the Premier League is a big one, and not many people are convinced that Arne would slot perfectly into the Premier League. See the pun there. But wasn't it the same with Xabi Alonso and Ruben Amorim when they were first linked? In today's video, we're not trying to convince you that Arne is the perfect fit for Liverpool. Instead, we're going to give you a brief introduction to who the manager is, aiming to show you what his achievements are so far and that they shouldn't be overlooked. We'll also explain his tactics and how he sets his team up with and without the ball. But before we do get into today's deep dive, as always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Liverpool content. Slot started his managerial career back in 2014 as an assistant coach at Cambuur before stepping as the interim manager with Hulshoff in 2016. Whether it was the new manager bounce or Slot's own magic, Cambuur climbed from 14th to 3rd in the Dutch second division. Unfortunately, they missed out on promotion after a tough loss in the playoffs. But that's not all. The club also made a remarkable run to its first ever cup semi-finals, even knocking out giants like Ajax Amsterdam before being edged out by AZ Alkmaar in the semi-finals. This impressive stint earned Slot a return to the first division, this time as an assistant manager to AZ Alkmaar, where he served for 2 years. In 2019, he took over as the head coach of Alkmaar, and while his tenure ended on rocky terms, it's undeniable that he left his mark. Here's why. He was the first manager at AZ to scoop up 19 points in his first 8 Eredivisie games. He also led the team to a second place finish, just behind Ajax on goal difference, when the 2019-20 season was abruptly cancelled due to COVID. With an average of 2.11 points per game in the Eredivisie, the highest of any coach in the club's history, Slot certainly made his presence felt. But as we said, it wasn't a fairy tale ending with the club. In fact, his time at AZ came to an abrupt end halfway through his second season when he was sacked for negotiating with Feyenoord. Just 10 days after his dismissal, Slot and Feyenoord finalised an agreement for him to take over the helm, starting with the 2021-2022 season. And that's where Arne truly began to carve out his reputation. Just like he did with AZ Alkmaar, Slot continued to punch above his weight at Feyenoord. He led the team to the round of 16 in European football for the first time in 20 years, but that was just the beginning. Set aside the fact that he reached the Conference League final in the first season, because in his second year, he clinched the league title with Feyenoord, and while it looks like they might lose the title to PSV Eindhoven this season, he's not having a trophyless campaign as he already secured the Dutch Cup. You might think that these achievements aren't that impressive, considering many see the Dutch league as one of the weaker ones among the top 7 European leagues. Look at Erik ten Hag, who, despite his successes with Ajax, is finding the Premier League challenging. But here's why it's different when it comes to Slot. Back during his days at AZ Alkmaar, he was vying for the 2020 title against Ajax with far fewer resources. The same goes for the league title he won with Feyenoord. Currently, Feyenoord has the third highest wage budget in the Eredivisie at €25 million, trading behind PSV's €30 million and Ajax's roughly €40 million. See, winning the league with Ajax is one thing, but challenging and winning the title with another Eredivisie side is another. Last season, he broke Ajax's 5-year hold on the Eredivisie, losing just 1 league game out of 34, all while managing a team with an average age of just 22.8 years. And that's just another point in his favour. Slot has a strong belief in youth. During his tenure, he's promoted several academy players to the first team, turning them into key players. This video is sponsored by Kopite Clothing. Kopite Clothing is a Liverpool clothing site owned by match-going fans. Each design is limited edition and is perfect to wear on a match day, on the terraces at Anfield, down your local, or cozy in the comfort of your own home. As stated, each design is limited edition, and if a product is showing out of stock, they will not be restocking the item, so if you have your eye on something, grab it fast. Lastly, Kopite Clothing wants fellow Reds to be 100% satisfied with their orders, so if there is a reason you're not happy, they will refund you with no questions asked. Head over to kopiteclothing.com or down into the link in the description to get all of your Liverpool merchandise. Anyway, let's get back into today's video. For instance, Hartman has become integral, and he's also brought in young talents like Matt Bifer and Quinton Timber, who are now vital to the team. Another cornerstone of Slot's management style is his clarity and communication. He lives by the motto that 60% of his success is the idea itself, and 40% is how clearly you can communicate that idea. His players know exactly what's expected of them in every phase of play. See, Feyenoord brought in Arne specifically to assemble a new team with a distinctive style of play, and that's exactly what he achieved by trusting young talent and implementing his approach. And this brings us to the start you've all been waiting for. How does an Arne Slot slide play? So remember the dissatisfaction some of you had with Xabi Alonso and Amorim's 3 at the back systems, and how they might clash with Liverpool's existing squad and style? Well, there's no need to worry with Arne. During the title-winning campaign, Slot mainly used the 4-2-3-1 formation, which is reminiscent of Jurgen Klopp's early tactics at Anfield. And although this lineup remains his favourite, this season he has started to use a 4-3-3 more often. And just like his preferred lineup mirrors Klopp's, Slot's tactical approach also shows similarities to the German style. So let's delve deeper into this. Slot prides himself on delivering entertaining football no matter which team he's managing, and much like Klopp, he focuses on high-intensity play that emphasises counter-pressing and winning the ball back quickly. Take a look at this graph, which highlights how similar both teams perform in the current campaign. Now sure, there are 2 noticeable differences in counter-attacks and defensive strategies, which we'll explore later, but for now let's focus on the similarities. In terms of pressing intensity, Feyenoord is ranked second, allowing only 10.2 passes per defensive action, just slightly more than PSV Eindhoven. Check out these 2 moments where Feyenoord pressed AZ Alkmaar extremely high up the pitch, right from the start of the game when it was still 0-0, but also later on after they opened the score. And here's another example of their high and aggressive pressing, this time against Roma at the Stadio Olimpico during their latest Europa League match. Even Feyenoord's fullbacks and centre-backs commit to the press, as they maintained a high defensive line to minimise the space. And this leads us up to another similarity with Klopp's tactics, the counter-press and how effectively Feyenoord capitalises on regaining possession high up the park. They've scored 11 goals from a total of 344 high turnovers, making them the leaders in the Eredivisie for this statistic. They also lead the league in defensive actions, leading to shots with 17, which have resulted in 4 goals overall. Don't worry, we've got a demonstration of their counter-pressing for you. This is from their recent 6-0 demolition of Ajax in the league. In this instance, Feyenoord has just lost possession from a long ball, but notice how their forwards position themselves high and close to one another to compress the space and limit the opposing team's options. As soon as the Ajax players received the pass, Feyenoord's forwards initiated the counter-press. They strategically cut off the passing lanes, creating a perfect scenario for a high turnover, while Ajax's formation was visibly disorganised. In fact, Feyenoord scored 3 goals from high turnovers during that game, and it was all thanks to their aggressive counter-pressing. Notice how Vifer was not even in the frame when this team lost possession. The moment the Feyenoord's midfield sensed that Ajax player didn't have full control of the ball, he pounced pressing aggressively. He succeeded in his duel, which led to a high turnover and subsequently a 4th goal for Feyenoord. But what happened when this aggressive press is bypassed? How does Feyenoord respond? This is where their strategy starts to drift from Klopp's. When possession is lost, Feyenoord often shifts to either a 5-2-3 or a 5-4-1 mid-block, with one of the pivots dropping back to join the defensive line. This adjustment provides a solid defensive structure to counter any potential threats from breaking the press. Now, there's another interesting thing when it comes to Feyenoord's defensive configuration. See, we said that one of the pivots drops to join the defensive line. However, the second pivot stays extremely close to the back line, allowing Feyenoord to shift into a back 6 quickly. Unlike Liverpool, this provides Feyenoord with greater defensive stability, enabling them to effectively close down spaces. This approach is reflected in their defensive record, boasting the 2nd best defense in the league and the lowest expected goals allowed at 22.0 xGA. So now that we got the out of the possession approach out of the way, let us see how Feyenoord play with the ball. Hear us out, because this is where it becomes more different. Unlike many Eredivisie teams, they rely on quick transitions and direct attacks. Feyenoord adopts a slower, more meticulous approach. They are second in the league for build-up attacks with 126, but only 9th in terms of direct ball progression, moving forward at a speed of 1.82 meters per second. So let's delve deeper into how they build up. Think of Slot as being more similar to Roberto De Zerbi than to Jurgen Klopp in this phase. Slot prefers a possession-based game, with Feyenoord averaging the second highest possession rate in the league at 61.5%. During their deep build-up phases, Feyenoord likes to draw opponents in by inviting pressure. They skillfully play out from the back, often using their goalkeeper in a 2-2+1 build-up formation. The centre-backs typically position themselves on either side of the goalkeeper, with the pivot dropping deep to facilitate the play. As shown in the following image, you can see how one of the fullbacks typically inverts to join the build-up, while the other pushes up to maintain width along the flank. This strategy of baiting the press demands that the players involved in the build-up not only possesses high technical skills, but also the ability to handle pressure effectively. This is part of why Feyenoord boasts 4 players among the top 13 in the league for carrying the ball. The 3 graphs you're seeing on the screen highlights just how technically proficient Feyenoord centre-backs, full-backs, and midfielders are. These visuals underscore the skill level across different positions on the field. So what happened when the play advances up to the field? That's when Feyenoord transitions into a 4-2 or a 2-4 build-up shape, depending on their positional needs and dynamics of the game. In the attacking third, Feyenoord typically pushes forward with 5 players. The wingers stretch the play by holding the width, 2 central midfielders fill the central and half spaces, and the striker positions himself high and central. However, true to the style of any top team, Arne Slot's Feyenoord demonstrates considerable flexibility in their positional play. In the previous picture, it was the right back who held the width on the right hand side, but let's give you another example. Consider their goal against Ajax earlier in the season. In this instance, a pass was directed into the central areas and collected by the number 9, Jimenez, who dropped deep to receive it. While Igor Paixão, the left winger, maintained the width on his side, Quinten Timber surged into the left half space. Though the immediate focus might be on Timber, who provided the assist, and Jimenez, who finished the play, it's crucial to observe Paixão inverted his run from the left wing. The movement not only creates a distraction, but also generates numerical superiority in and around the box, further unsettling Ajax's defence and paving the way for Feyenoord's strategic execution of the goal. The constant rotation and flexible positional play allow Feyenoord to pose threats from various angles. The midfielders, or 8s, make dynamic runs from deep into the box. The wingers have the option to cut inside, which allows the fullback to overlap, and the number 9 has the flexibility to drop deep, serving as a pivot for the build-up. Yes, it's undeniable that the leap from the Eredivisie to the Premier League is massive, and stepping into a role at Liverpool poses an even greater challenge. However, Arne Slot's career merits serious consideration, and his coaching methods are highly respected in the Netherlands. He is known as an excellent communicator who prefers to work within a structured framework rather than taking matters into his own hands, which will perfectly fit in with Liverpool's new structure approach. And for those wondering, yes, he speaks perfect English. So what do you think about Arne Slot as the new top contender to take over at Anfield? Is it too risky a move for Edwards and his team, or will Arne slot perfectly into Liverpool's setup? We hope this analysis has answered your questions about Arne Slot. If you enjoyed our breakdown, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button for more Liverpool deep dives. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.